True.
It's 6:55. Your Rascals are here. But before we get into that, I got something special for you guys.
You do.
Oh, yeah.
Can't ever go wrong with a little Rickroll.
You know, this guy started off as a Xerox copy guy.
Look at me making copy. Do the copy thing.
Tell you how I'm feeling. Gotta make you understand. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you. Never gonna make you cry. Never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you.
All right, and that was the recap. We'll catch you guys next time.
All right, that was a great show, dude. God, man. We put a lot into that one.
That's the end of the show. That's really what we wanted to do for you guys is just do a little bit of Rickroll and have a nice day. No, we're joking. We are completely joking. Let's get this party started. Hello, friends. I'm Rob.
I'm Keith.
And we are the Renaissance Rascals.
We are.
Today we've got a special guest in the studio.
We do have a special guest in the studio.
But before we get to that, there are a couple of things that we have to address first. Let me get to our slides before I start talking too quickly. Let's go into our unofficial sponsor.
Yes, we do have one of those.
So the unofficial sponsor for today is something that is really, really near and dear to our hearts. Whenever one of our Ren Fair friends is having issues with whether it's a tragedy or health or something, we always want to kind of help out and get out there and get behind these things. There is a GoFundMe right now for our friends at Gazal Balletti. They just had a tragic trailer fire, and they lost over $10,000 worth of costumes and props and stuff.
Yeah, that's a big chunk too.
That's
a big chunk to lose. That's like their like most of their act is in that trailer.
That was props, that was costumes, that was absolutely everything. So, guys, the GoFundMe is right there up on the screen for you. Do me a favor, if you can donate a couple of bucks, go for it. If you really want to be a hero, give them $10, $20. That way you can help out, keep an act going.
Be a real hero, give them 10,000. I mean, I'm just saying.
I wish I could.
Yeah,
I really wish I could, but if I could do that, I would not be on this show with you.
Yeah, you would. We just would be in a different place.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I'll give that to you. Anyway.
Here we go.
So, are you ready? Are you guys ready?
Dude, I'm ready.
You've been ready for this since like last Saturday when I told you about it.
I know, dude. That was like super cool.
Yeah, I felt like an asshole though.
Took me by surprise a little bit.
I felt like an asshole because I was like, dude, we did the end of season. We forgot.
See, I thought we were talking about next season.
Yeah, no.
So that's where it was kind of like
completely hosed that one. I blame Keith.
There was a lot of meat involved.
That is a true statement.
Yes.
There is a true statement behind it.
I'm blaming Jakar Meadery.
Yeah, sure, we'll do that.
Yeah.
We'll do that completely.
That's fair, bro.
No. I have no clue what is going on over here. I'm trying to get to our site here, and it's like...
Okay. I mean...
Give me a second. You know what? We'll just roll with it.
Sure.
It's Undercover Brother.
This is all going...
the background.
This is all going wrong.
Freaking Steve, man.
Dude, Steve is so fired.
I really need a guy to call Steve like he's...
Why?
Oh, wait. Why am I going? This is... All right, there we go. Sorry about that, guys.
Thank goodness.
Dude, that's a good movie. I don't care who you are. That's funny as shit.
No, it's not.
It is. All right.
It's horrible.
Go in here, and I'm going to bring up...
Yes.
I'm going to bring this up so that Keith can see the Facebook comments.
I need my chat. I need my chat people.
Give me a second. We might get a little bit of a delay. Anyway, so talking about our guest is somebody that's very near and dear to our hearts because, so many different things.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's silly enough to keep bringing us back.
Yeah, and he goes by many names. Theodore Wingelwick III, the Duke of Larkspurshire.
Yes.
The casting director. And my favorite, Judgy Dadface. And there he is.
And there he is, our special guest this evening. Yes.
The man, the myth, the legend, the guy that brought the Renaissance Rascals together and regrets every single minute of it. How are you doing, my friend? Oh, I got to let him talk.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, there we go. Now you can talk.
All right.
There he
I
is.
gotta unmute me and so I can say hello.
Yes. It's been a blast doing this season. I mean,
Yeah.
This is my second year, and last year I said it, and I'll say it again. This is probably the best experience that I have had working on a theater troupe or an ensemble, if you will, just because the positive attitude that everybody has, the welcoming. It's really fun. Plus, you stuck me with this dude.
I mean, not really. I just kind of plucked you out of the middle of nowhere. Like, dude, come
Because
here.
nobody else was going to.
No one else was going to.
I was gonna say I might have hired you, but I didn't necessarily put you two together. I think that happened naturally. You kind
Oh.
of gravitated towards each other.
Organically. I like it. I like that.
I prefer it happen unnaturally.
There's
Irreverently, maybe?
Ooh,
I like that.
I like that
I
one.
like
Yeah,
that.
that one's good.
So, tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your experience with the Renaissance Festival.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I again, Eric Midikowski. I go as Theodore Wingelwick with the festival. I've been that character for almost a decade now. I think a decade. 2014, somewhere in.
Yeah,
I
that's a
created-
decade. That's 10 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can do math sometimes too.
We English, too.
Whoa.
Hey.
He's back.
Easy.
But I have been with the festival for 22 years at this point. This was my 22nd season with the festival. I started out as a body puppet, worked into...
All right, hold on. What the hell is
puppet?
that?
I'm like, okay, hold on.
We haven't had the body puppets for a couple of years. I give you that. They were kind of creepy.
Oh, those the creepy things in the garage?
Yes, they're still in the
Oh,
garage.
dude, they're
that's true.
nightmare.
They were backpacks that we wore, and then it was these giant puppets that we walked around
yes.
with. They were 12 or
Okay.
10 feet tall.
Yeah, guys, think Mardi Gras. Those are the
Yeah.
I got
It
you.
is the stuff of nightmares.
So I got hired to do that my first 2 years, and then after that went to street, worked on front gate, bounced around pretty much everything you could possibly imagine. At the festival, I've done it, so I have experience doing lots of things there.
That makes in the military, we always say that makes a really great leader. When you have dug the trenches, shoveled and burned the shit, you know exactly what every person under your charge is feeling. And you can confidently look at them, smile, and go, I know, it sucks.
Yeah.
I've been there. Yeah. I survived. You will too.
So the one question I always ask everyone is, what drew you to the fair? What made you go, I want to spend my summer sweating?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I, going through high school and stuff, I did a lot of theater. I started getting into theater around the Denver area, and I had just graduated high school, and I was like, you know what, I want to do this for summer. It'll be fun. Let's go. So I missed the auditions because I wasn't really planning on it, but I sent an email in to the entertainment director at the time, and got an email back the Friday before dress rehearsal, and she was like, come tomorrow, bring a friend. So I did. I brought a friend. That's how we kind of got put with the body puppets at the last minute. But it really started to give me that chance to experience stuff. Besides doing the body puppets, I was out able to play on the streets and work with front gate and kind of do the different things there. So I got hooked after my first year. Almost went on the road. I almost went to was it Minnesota after Colorado?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
My parents stopped me from doing that, but I fell in love with it, and I almost was like, I'm gonna jump in my car and go,
Yeah.
but my parents stopped me at the time.
My wife is stopping me right now.
Yeah,
She says, "You're not going to make money. We can't pay the rent and all, the mortgage off of that." I'm like, "You're right. All right, we'll figure this out."
We gotta get rid of her.
She's a lot better looking than you, dude.
All right. That's fair. That's fair
I don't
enough.
think you got a chance.
No,
Sorry,
no,
Sarky.
sorry. Yeah, no. So that is, man. You started off as a body puppet, and then what other characters have you played at CRF?
I was I just worked on street. I was a gypsy for a couple years. I know it's not the proper term.
The travelers.
The traveler. But in the day, yes, I was a dirty peasant, doing stuff like that. I have been a royal guard for Her Majesty. I've been a court herald. I have been
The sheriff?
No, not the sheriff.
No, you weren't the
I
sheriff.
was
You were the
Lord
mayor. Yeah.
Before Lord Mayor for many years, I was a Russian prince on court. So jumping between the different accents of going from English to Russian back to English was a little bit of a challenge
Yeah,
here
I
and
can
there.
imagine.
But after Russian prince, I was Lord Mayor for many years, and then a couple years ago became the Duke of Larkspurshire.
Couple years by that you mean like 4 or 5 years ago?
No, it was
It was like
3
yeah.
Okay.
3 years ago.
Okay.
I knew when I became cast director in 2018 that my part as the Lord Mayor wasn't going to last
Okay.
a whole lot longer. That with taking on the responsibilities of director, I knew that someone needed to step in and truly give time to that character. Historically, over the 22 years I've been there, obviously we have the king and queen, sometimes prince, sometimes princess, but the other two main staple characters we've always had is a sheriff and a mayor. And I knew I had to step away from that at some point. And I started to make that transition in 2020. That was my goal. And of course, we didn't have a season that year
Right.
because of the pandemic. And so it kind of put it on hold to where it really didn't take effect until I think 2022. And then, 3 years ago for a season. And obviously kind of passed the torch on with that, and it just kind of made sense for me to become the Duke of Larkspurshire since I'm still the one having the party, throwing the party, inviting everybody to come.
Right.
It just made sense. And then if I'm not around a whole lot, it's still this character kind of looming over everything.
Yeah.
Making sure everything's
The
happening.
host is running around doing
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
So it just kind of made sense to
Hey,
to
Keith,
step
do me a
into that.
favor and kick that light over there towards you just a little bit. You're sitting in shadow there, bud.
Is that better?
Not really.
No.
Maybe it's the fact that you're wearing a hat.
That could be.
There you go. That's
How
better.
about that?
That might be better. Here,
All right.
I'll kick this one on too.
Yeah, whatever.
There we go. Try not to blind poor Eric over there.
Yeah.
Oh, hey. Well, let's jump into the comments real quick just to say hello to everyone. We got Kelpie Haddock in the house. Thanks for joining us. We got Curly's out there. I got Dave. What's up, Shark? We got
Dan the Man Schaefer.
we got Master Dave. What's up, Master Dave? Ingrid, how you doing, baby? We got our friend Squirrel hanging out with us.
Squirrel.
It's Giovanni Salzano's joined us as well.
Oh, wow, finally.
I know, right?
He actually decided,
To show up on time.
you know why? Because he's like, I got to see who's on the show.
You teased that pretty good, dude. You guys teased that pretty good.
I tried.
Yeah.
I was like, come on.
So, and you had kind of touched on it a little bit, but being a casting director, there's a lot of work going into that. So, I know in last year you had yourself as the casting director, and then directly underneath you was Susan and Hero of Mime.
Mark,
Yeah, Hero of Mime.
that guy.
No, I'm just trying to remember like what words, what names I'm supposed to be using.
Yeah.
But this year you had 3 ads that were helping out, and I mean, I personally, my experience is like it was awesome being able to have 3 different people that I could run to when you
Yeah.
weren't around. Or, hey, have you seen the Duke? I'm looking for him. There's an issue. There's something going on. I appreciated it. I thought it was really neat.
Yeah, as we have continued to grow the cast, grow the festival itself, keep adding stuff, it's just come more apparent that I myself, Christy with everything she does, we can't do it all ourselves.
Right.
The first year I took over as director, I really tried doing everything myself, and I ran
Went
myself
nuts. Yep.
ragged.
Yep.
A festival day was no longer fun because I was just running around like crazy. Typically in a festival day, I walk 16 to 18,000 steps per day, and my first year I was averaging like 22,000 steps per day.
Holy shit.
And it was not sustainable, obviously.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I need to find some help. That's when I started looking for, even before you two kind of joined, and I had other people who started helping me in the past. But yes, this year I had 3 wonderful assistants helping with that. Obviously, there's tons of people out there like Ingrid and stuff that help with other things.
The volunteer corps, yeah.
And doing that. But I do really lean on my assistant directors and my music coordinator to really help run the show, because it is a big production and it's just not sustainable with 1 or even 2 people at that point.
It really blows me away. I mean, really, we have two months, and really, when you break it down, we're only 8 weekends of rehearsals, and the depth of the production is so awe-striking, and to see that just like from our standpoint. As a patron, I was like, oh, this is cool. I'm going to go drink. And now, I look at it from behind the curtain, and it's like, whoa, dude, there's so many moving parts behind this. People don't see what our director, our assistant director, or even the staff does to make that place run. It is insanity.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's just, that's, for us, it's like, we, see the cast, what we do with the rehearsals and the production, but then, you take into account all the vendors and the food and the drinks. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens just to get the gates open. It's like, because we do rehearsals, and when we first start, it's like the whole village is empty. There's nobody there. And then by the time dress rehearsal, it's like, oh, the village is coming to life. And then, bam, next weekend, hey, holy crap, everyone's here.
Where'd all these people come
Where'd
from?
they all come from? So, I mean, it's cool to watch that progression from empty to open the gates and, thousands of people rushing in, it's amazing, So, I mean, our hats off to everyone who does that stuff, in the coordination of all that.
Sure, there's a lot of things that go by real quick and happen in that last, like you said, week or 2 before the show opens, but there's a lot of moving parts that happen way before the season. Right now, typically, when people contact me, I'm like, nope, January. If you're listening to this, do not reach out to me until January.
Folks.
So just so that you guys know, he reached out to me. Yes,
that was a little different for this. But it starts at the first of the year where we really start looking at stuff, planning things out. But that's where the magic lies, I think, is we are only open for 8 weekends. I see comments, I hear people say stuff of, oh man, it'd be so nice if we're open longer, or we should be open in the fall, we should do a winter show. And the idea is amazing.
The logistics is a nightmare.
Very, very much so. I'm one of the very few people that actually get to see the property in its hibernation, and in winter it is absolutely beautiful. And it would be amazing to have this snow-covered mountain to do this festival on. The idea of it sounds magical. But no, it could never, ever be done.
The practicality is not feasible.
Because of everything we have to do, especially in those last couple weeks up until we open,
Right.
just to get that site ready, and then what we have to do to maintain it for those 8 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people don't see that when people come to me and say, "Hey, I want to be on cast," and I'm like, "All right, cool, come audition," and it's people who, may come to the festival a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally different being on the side. I'm not saying it's
Absolutely right.
worse or better. I'm not saying either of those things, but it's different.
Right.
You see what we do to put the show on.
Mm-hmm.
We're joking about it earlier of people saying, oh, what are you guys doing tonight? You gonna party? And it's like, no, we're not. We're gonna go to sleep. We're gonna eat our dinner,
sleep.
and we're gonna go to sleep because we got to do this again tomorrow.
Yeah.
But it also, we're actors, right? So we put on this show. We put on this amazing thing where people go, these people party all the time. That's what we do. We make it look like it is one big party.
Oh, absolutely.
But that's our job.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a job. It's a fun job. I'll
is
give
a-
you
yeah.
that. It would if it wasn't fun. I wouldn't be doing it for 22 years.
Truth.
Right.
Truth.
It's still a lot of work, and there are people who come and they'll work for a year and say, "I did it." There's people who come and stay longer. I tell everybody, if you can get through that 3rd year, you're probably going to be here for a long time. And we've seen that over the years. People, 1 year, they had fun, cool, it was an experience, and they move on.
Right.
A couple of people, if they last till past their 3rd year, I'm going to see them for a while.
Yeah.
And so I always push people. If you're really wanting to do this, give it 3 years. See how you feel after that.
Yeah, and it's funny because we're in one of our episodes, during this last season. I said it's always funny because we have a whole bunch of people that audition, and then the first weekend is like everybody shows up, and then the second weekend you're like, oh, where did so and so go? And people start dropping like flies, and it's like, what happened to so and so?
Or like in shadow, dude. There.
There we go.
Now
That's
we can
fixed.
see you.
Dude, I'm a man of mystery.
Now.
We do always have people who show up, and it might be something different than they originally thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And after a rehearsal or two, they dip, or maybe come opening weekend, they're like, yeah, no, this is not for me.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I've learned over the years to plan for it, so we're not going, oh, we're so low on this, or we need coverage for this. Like, I've kind of learned over the years that it's going to happen no matter what.
Yeah.
It would be witless, Kira.
Yeah.
Witless protection program, not witness. Kira says Keith is in the witness protection program. Witless.
Yeah,
Witless.
I
Yeah,
agree
yeah,
with
for
that
sure.
part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's I can understand the sentiment of somebody showing up for that first weekend and just being completely overwhelmed by it, because I will tell you that last year, I was a volunteer. I was only able to be for half of the time there, and if not for two chuckleheads grabbing me by the scruff and going, "Hey, come with us, new guy," I probably would have been like, "Dude, I have no clue what the hell I'm doing, and this isn't for me." But because I was grabbed up and snatched up, and then, the like I said before, we were talking about this before we turned the mics on. Just the welcome that I got from the cast. Yeah, it's kind of weird because it's like different levels of curiosity from different people, and it's like some people are like, "Hey man, how are you? What are you doing?" And then there's other people that are like, turn the spotlight on. "So you're this." I'm like, "Oh my god." All right, cool. We're doing this. Let's have some fun. But I could understand where someone could come in and be like, "All right, this is what I'm going to do, and this is how it's going to be." And then after week one, they're like, the first weekend, they're like, "Oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be. I don't know if I can do this." And last year we had a couple that dropped out, and this year even we had a couple that were just like, "We can't do it." And I get it. I mean, the hill sucks. It will kill you.
Oh, the hill sucks.
Your calves and your buttocks will be burning by the end of the season.
Yes.
And not all of us take naps at lunch.
Well,
Naps are for the weak.
Yes.
I gotta sit down for like I don't know, the 20 minutes of the parade. Like, that's my one time to actually sit down, let alone naps.
Yeah. No,
I don't want to hear that.
Hey, I'm just saying it happens. Not every day.
He takes a quick and when I say nap, I mean it is literally like a 5-minute power nap. And it is the craziest shit in the world that I've ever seen because I'm sitting there and I'm eating my food. I look up and he's just. And then 5 minutes later, boom, he's up and he's like, all right, let's go.
Let's roll.
I guess I'm not mad. I'm a little jealous, I guess. Because that would be nice.
It's that 5 minutes just to re-energize myself, and I'm like, all right, we got to go. We got a show to do somewhere for someone.
It's usually this year it was us kind of creating things for ourselves to do.
Oh yeah.
Which during Cordial Cup I had mentioned to everybody, in my toast I said last year I made a list of things, and I was hanging out with you guys by your trailer, and I had made a list of things that I'm gonna do this next year. This is what I'm gonna do. And I had like 4 things that I wanted to do. And this year, I checked off every single box that I had made. And now I've made, I think between Keith and I, we've made about 12 more for next year.
Oh, yeah.
That we're going to make sure. I mean, and it's just that constant amping up to try to stress ourselves, test ourselves. What's the best way to say that?
It's always the and then. You know, so we did a whole bunch of stuff this year, which came off really great. And then now it's like, all right, now we have to build on next year.
Yeah,
hopefully.
That's what I push for everybody. It's that level up.
Yeah.
What can we do next year?
Yeah.
And that's where we're at. We're like, all right, we had this really cool thing, and like our the pirate arrest we did. We've got
awesome.
a plan for doing it again, but it's going to be completely different and bigger this time because everybody could hear us at the thrones. Well.
Which I thought was hilarious because everybody's like, "We're not going to be able to hear you," and then the headsman's like, "Dude, we heard you."
No, we had like 50 pirates out there. I mean, come
Something
on.
like that.
It was crazy.
Something like that.
So thinking back on this last year, what was one of your favorite memories?
Oh, don't
year?
jump ahead. Stay on task, man.
I
Stay
jump
on
ahead.
task.
We don't
don't
do
jump
that.
ahead.
All right.
There is a question
We'll wait for that.
Think
one.
about it.
There is-
I'll think on that one.
There is a question that came from Ingrid.
Oh.
What has been your favorite role?
Oh.
All of them I hold dear.
Okay.
For different reasons, and it might have been the people that I worked with in those roles.
Okay.
Cast has changed a lot over 22 years. When I first started at the festival, again, this is my personal views, but when I first started the festival, it felt very detached. If you were peasant, if you were on the street, you could not talk with the court at the time.
Right.
You didn't have any interaction with that. It was very, the musicians were kind of off doing their own little thing, and it worked, obviously, for many, many years. So every character I've been over the years, I connected with certain people. Mm-hmm. Beth, who played our previous queen, she was one of the first people on court to actually start interacting with me when I was a dirty peasant. At the time, she was not the queen. She was just a lady on court, and she was working in the street, doing story times for children and stuff like that. They would do story time and raise money for children's, different children's charities, things like that.
Nice.
And she was one of the ones who would interact with me in a very positive manner.
Right. That's awesome.
Not just the I'm royalty, you're peasant, get in the dirt, type thing. It was fun. So in those characters, there's things like that. As the Russian prince, I really is where I started connecting with a lot of my current best friends. With Christy when she joined cast the first time, I was a Russian prince at the time. So I have fond memories of that. Lord Mayor walking around with David when he was the sheriff. So many great memories of him and I being this duo out on the street.
Right.
So I don't know if I have a favorite one.
Just each one has its moments.
Yeah, each one has a shining moment or multiple moments in those characters over the years where I they just hold it dear in my heart. For many years, I'd pull out a fairy character named Mayhem, and he was based off like the brownies from Willow. You know, just
We've been compared to those two.
right. I didn't want to do the the same, not the same thing everybody. Everybody's characters are different. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of fairies are cute, and they're nice to the kids. Not saying we weren't nice to the kids. I mean, because we're obviously there for the kids, but it was more, the gal that did it with me.
You could be a little more snarky.
Yeah. She was Mischief and I was Mayhem. We played brother and sister, and we were like the brownies. We'd steal stuff from people. We'd always give it back. You know, as part of the bit. But we'd steal stuff from people. I'd walk up to people and literally take their beer and like chug half of it, and then people just loved it. The people who got mad, I was like, I'll go buy you another beer. Like, relax.
Yeah.
But it was part of the gig, right? Like having that, and so like I have fond memories of that. To then being a prince, to being a guard for Beth when she became queen, and so there's moments in all of those that are definitely fun and I hold dear.
Just to take a real quick moment here, I'm looking at the comments. Absolutely, we are not diminishing anything that our grounds crew does. The staff that helps run CRF, from Shark the bus driver to the guys that were stuck putting the wood chips back. After every single freaking flood.
Oh yes, our site crew is amazing.
Yes,
everybody who makes that show happen, like it takes all of them to make it happen. For sure,
absolutely right. Because I'll tell you what, I'm not picking up a shovel while I'm in costume. If it's to help save somebody's life, yeah, dude, I'm there. But walk around the big freaking stream going around, people.
I mean, we can't forget the Scotch egg ladies.
We made friends. We started nicknaming them.
So we got a Scotch egg every day, and so they would just come to expect us.
One of my favorite things at the festival, for sure.
So there was one day we didn't, and they were like, "Where'd you guys go?"
And then Master Dave,
they were worried about us.
And then Master Dave bought us eggs, and we're like, "What the?" Okay.
So the one day he had went before, prepaid for the eggs, just waited for us to show up.
We didn't show up.
We didn't because we had so much stuff to do. We just skipped it. And so we had to go back later and get eggs because he had already paid for them.
But yeah, everybody that's the servers, the drink vendors, everyone that runs that show, it's tough. It's brutal, but it makes a great experience from a customer's standpoint, being able to see that. And I've even had some of the guys that I work with, some of the folks that I work with at my regular job, who are like, dude, you guys put on this show. And I'm like, I have nothing to do with that, but I will pass on to those people your gratitude, because that is important that they know that. And I said, you know what? Next time you go, just give them a tip. That is... And I'm not talking about trinkets, kids. I'm talking like dollars. I can't spend a trinket.
Oh, the trinkets.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the next thing that I wanted. I wrote up here is the Gate Show. I wanted to talk about the Gate Show this year.
The Gate Show.
Because
just this year? Or?
Just this year, because I mean, it goes through a change every year, and this year was kind of fun for me, just because. Last year, I was just like, we're there to help move the stages. So we stood out there in the background, and it was like, okay, cool. And then this year, we kind of got to play pantomime in the background as like, I described it to everybody as like, Keith and I are like James Brown's backup band.
Pretty much.
Everybody loves a good panto around here.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was the storyline behind it and everything. How did you come up with it?
Who wrote it?
So I write the show every year.
Okay.
That's
so now we know who to blame if you didn't like it.
Yes.
I
take
like
your complaints.
I like the rehearsals. Think telenovello, guys.
Exactly. Most of the themes I come up with years before they actually happen. 3 years ago now, we did the every show has a nickname in my book, I guess, and it was the Goes Wrong Show, where everything just fell apart, And obviously, if people saw that show and have seen the Goes Wrong show,
Yeah.
and Peter Pan Goes Wrong, all those things from the theater company out of London who did it, obviously originally. I was in London and I saw that show back long time ago, and I was like, if I can make a front gate show like that where everything just goes wrong and falls apart, and yet there's some narrator that's pushing for it, I was like, it'll happen. And
Yeah.
it took 3 or 4 years for that to actually happen. Same thing with this one. I was like, I like doing like murder mysteries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I thought a whodunit would be fun. And I was like, well, how do we do it? And so a lot of the show ideas happen in my mind years before they actually get put on paper and then actually done at the festival. I start running through some ideas. There's a group of people that I kind of bounce ideas off of and start talking through some things. And it always kind of changes throughout the year. If I hear something that's funny, I have a whole list in my phone where I'll pull it out real quick and I'll jot something in my list real quick to say, that's funny. That concept's funny. How can I play off of that? And then when I start writing it, I go back to that list and go, can I get that joke in? Oh, that joke doesn't make sense. Oh, can I get that in? So there's a lot of stuff that I definitely borrow from other ideas and other things that inspire me for it, and sometimes fully play off of someone else's idea and incorporate it. But yeah, it's just something that comes up with my mind, and it may take a couple years to happen.
The funny thing about this show is it really coincided with Lucinda not being there this year, as much. So it was kind of a cool thing that it just kind of happened, So did you kind of?
So that the idea is, it started with, the idea was a fictional character was going to be missing. When I first started writing it, towards the end of last year, beginning of this year, we were going to have Merlin be missing.
Okay.
So it was not an actual character.
Right.
And Merlin was going to be missing after whatever I had in my mind of the annual magic festival, meeting or whatever, the conference, and all of a sudden he went missing. And this inspector type character shows up. And originally, if you obviously follow a lot of nerdy stuff, TikToks, things like that, there is a character that over the last couple of years has popped up at a lot of the cons, where she is the Imperial HR lady.
Yes.
Who shows up and she gives tickets and
she writes citations
to everybody from who are dressed up in the Star Wars realm, the Imperial.
That's awesome.
She'll go up to Darth Vader and ream him for something and then give him a little pink slip and you need to come to HR, sensitivity training, things like that. And yeah,
you're gonna have to look at that.
She's hilarious. She's great. And I was like, oh, that would be a fun character to try to incorporate as this inspector, who all of a sudden shows up to investigate why Merlin's missing.
Okay.
That's where my mind went a couple years ago when I saw that particular character, having this woman show up in pants, because again, the time period that we're portraying.
Yep.
If a woman's in pants, it would be scandalous,
right?
Scandal.
And so that was my idea. Obviously, it evolved and it changed, but the biggest thing that changed, one, was our dear friend Lucinda, who came to me towards the beginning of the year and said, I can't be here all the time. And it was sad to see her character, and she's a really good friend of mine, and not be there like we've been there for years together. So that kind of happened. And then the biggest thing was our friend Artie, who passed away at the beginning of this year. And last year was his first year at our festival.
Yeah.
I worked with him outside of the festival for many events and got close to him. So unfortunately, when I found out that happened, I was like, I can't make this missing person now be Merlin the magician when our own magician just passed away.
Right.
So I was like, I'm going to have to scrape this entire gate show and come up with something else. And that's when I sat down and reworked it the way that everybody saw it this year. Because I was like, well, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I can't have that, that character now be missing after already passing away.
Yeah.
So it evolved into Lucinda being missing. And she's like, well, I'm going to come back and visit for a couple days. How can we do it? And I'm like, it's fine. Like, people play into the story, sure, but a lot of people don't even know what's going on with it either.
Yeah.
So like we can play into it, we can have fun with it, but
They're there for the turkey legs and the mead.
yeah.
Right.
So having that theme, I also try to think of how a theme can play into the rest of the day, but also if someone comes on opening weekend and then fifth weekend and then maybe last day, it's not this continuing story either.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to be there all the time,
Right.
but you can still get snippets. And a lot of people played into that with whodunit, and we changed that every festival day of who was, to blame. It allowed a lot of the other characters to play into that, and then it also gave us this long runway to play with the patrons with it.
Yep.
Of who did it? It was you. It was me. It was our rat catcher. It was whoever it might have been.
Right.
It gave a lot of interaction potential with our patrons.
I would also point out that this year a lot more of the junior cast was incorporated into all of the gate show and everything. I know last year I was just kind of there. I didn't, but again, my experience was a little bit different than everybody else's because of my volunteer status. But looking at this year, a lot of the newbies were they were hungry. They were voracious. They wanted to be involved in everything that was going on. And I mean, it just made this year so much more special to me.
Sure, yeah.
Because Keith and I doing what we do with this, starting this podcast up in November and watching this thing just go completely batshit crazy. Basically, the month we started rehearsals, all of a sudden we skyrocketed from like 20 followers up to like 280.
Yeah.
And no idea what happened there.
No.
But just seeing all of the new people kind of engaged in everything that we were doing and everything, it was definitely neat. But I got video clips.
Uh-oh. Video proof.
Apologies, but we just heard the most terrible news!
No!
Oh, no, it's a festival day!
Can you tell who's
No
holding the
terrible news
camera?
allowed on a festival day, right?
Normally I would agree with you, Master Peddler, but the news must be shared so we can find her.
Lucinda was in the audience.
Okay, well, look, I was given post to come here by the Lord Mayor herself and welcome all these lovely
is so
people to
amazing.
our shire, and I don't want to be... Wait, what? Someone's missing? So you haven't heard either? Well, no, but now I need to know who's missing.
Lucinda Jakes!
Not Lucinda, not our lovable village witch.
This is my favorite.
Our lovable village Apologies, right, our lovable village herbalist. Well, come to think of it, the village has been a lot more quiet around here lately.
Rude.
We've got to go find the sheriff and report this case immediately.
Indeed, my dear. Your Majesties will be most pleased with us if we have found her.
God's teeth, I can't believe Lucinda's gone missing. And on the morning of Her Majesty's arrival, no less. Well, good people, truly great sorrow on the news that we've just heard, yes, but rest assured, we will get to the bottom of this day.
Yeah, that was you, Lucinda.
Yeah.
The fun thing about writing the show is, as an adult, you watch Disney movies, right?
Yeah.
And there's always things for the adults, right? It's
that
geared towards
low-
the
yeah,
family, it's
yeah.
geared towards
Oh,
the
sure.
kids, things like that. But the one thing I love doing is putting in things for the adults. And two, I like putting in jokes that may sound selfish, but are just for us.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It makes sense to the storyline, but like you heard in that clip with, it sounded a lot quieter around here. Well, during that particular gate show, there's multiple jokes that talk about Lucinda's character,
Yeah.
about how, it smelled better.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's
Or
more children.
There's more children
Yeah.
running around. And it makes sense to the story, but also to the people who know, they know.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier that, David and I, for years and years, were sheriff and the Lord Mayor. Well, David became king after being sheriff for many, many years. And so in the front gate show, I made a joke about this man that clearly people who've come to the festival for years and years and years are going to go, that's the Lord Sheriff, because that's who he was for years.
Right.
So I made a joke in that front gate show about someone needs to call the sheriff, and everybody stops and just looks at David, and he goes, the Lord Sheriff, and he calls for the actual new Lord Sheriff, and makes that joke because everybody, similar to this year.
Yeah.
Christy
Princess
makes
Emma.
a joke about, Princess Emma did as well, about, I've never totally not been, it's a new dress, and,
Yeah.
I've totally, there's that. That also played into the her being innocent for Lucinda Jinx gone missing, because she
Right.
is, in question at that moment. So it plays into the storyline there. When Her Majesty says, I want to talk to who's in charge. I want to
Yeah.
complain. And everybody points to her. Well, for one, she's the queen, so everybody's going to take their stuff to the king and queen anyway. But also that's Christy, who's one of our operations managers,
Yeah.
artistic directors. I mean, her and I carry so many different titles at the festival that everything comes through us in that sense.
Right.
She's the one who has to deal with all of the crazy concerns and complaints over not just the weeks in between the festival weekends, but also all season.
Right.
And so it's a joke. Yeah. The queen would get all the complaints, sure. But also Christy would as well.
Yeah.
So I love writing that type of stuff into...
The little hidden meaning
Yeah.
for the people
Exactly.
that know.
The double
because it
double
keeps us
meanings.
entertained as well. Speaking of keeping us entertained, were you able to see the day that the tea and biscuits materialized?
Oh, the random one to the sheriff?
The patron,
Yes.
yeah.
I did not see that, and I actually didn't hear about it until, I don't know, probably coming into that next following weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And how something just all of a
Yeah.
sudden was
Yeah.
handed to the sheriff when he's
Yeah.
looking for the tea and biscuits.
There was a patron that was on the side, and the guy is I think the guy's there every weekend.
Yeah, he is.
And he's got different costumes. He's always looks amazing. But he was just standing on the side over there by the south door, and Keith and I looked over at the guy because he was just sitting there holding this teacup on a saucer in his hand, and I'm like, what is this dude doing? And then Morrow comes out, and the guy breaks away from the podium, and Morrow's up on the stage, and he hands the tea and biscuits to him. We all lost it because it was just so oddly and perfectly timed.
Yeah. I mean, if you didn't know any better, you would have thought it was part of the show. I mean, his timing was right on. And I'm like,
That's the magic
Did someone
of
plan this?
live theater, especially in immersive theater.
Oh, yeah.
That we do at the festival. And there's part of me that absolutely loves it, right? And then there's part of me that there's certain points in the front gate show that drives the story forward.
Correct.
One of those points in this particular front gate show is the sheriff looking for the tea and biscuits.
Yeah.
And to where the Lord Mayor and then tells him, go, I don't care that you skip breakfast, go do your job type thing. And so I heard about it after it happened. I heard that everybody took it in stride.
They rolled over.
with it,
Yeah.
and they changed their lines and they adapted on
Yes.
in the moment. Which again, what we train to do, since we are immersive theater, and sometimes the best training and practicing something, it doesn't always go the way we want it to,
Yeah,
and we
no.
have to pivot and run with it. So kudos to everybody who was involved with that had to. That next Saturday and Sunday, that next weekend, I was out in the audience.
We noticed.
Ready to play defense. I was going to walk up and take said, if it was something like that happened again, and say, oh, thanks, I'm looking for the tea, and just walk off with it as the Duke, in character, and make it kind of part of it as well, just so in that moment those actors could focus on what they were doing.
Right.
Yes, most of the time, 95% of the time, 99% of the time, we are improv based, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
We go up to any sort of patron and we start something. We don't know what's going to happen. It's this volley back and forth that we have to run with, and that's what we try to train for. But the front gate show is the one thing that we actually have scripted to set up the day, to set up the things, and I was going to, again, step into it and make sure that that didn't happen again. Even though, like I said, I heard that everybody involved did a great job to run with it.
They were amazing, and after the gate show was over, I caught up to Morrow and Nick, and I was like, dude, you guys rolled right with that. I'm impressed. Like, that is, to me, that was like consummate professionals. All three of them were so much in sync that they were just boom, 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 and I was like, wow, that just happened. And part of me was annoyed because here's somebody that is intruding on like you said, the one scripted thing that we have. But at the same point, I was so proud of the cast being able to just roll and continue moving forward, because you don't normally see that kind of thing happen, where, at least not on the level like my level, where if somebody I'm trying to do lines and dude comes over and breaks, I'd be away with you, boy, but Morrow just, oh, thanks. And he rolled along with it. So it was kind of neat, but I do understand where it gets in there, because I've also had a lot of customers that have asked me, like, dude, is there any way that we can, like, get the people on the sides to kind of quiet down, because I'm trying to hear it. I'm like, unfortunately, I have no control over that. I can't do anything about that. If you want to kind of avoid that, then stay in the center. It's going to suck because you're in the sun, but stay in the center.
Yeah.
And so, it's just one of those things. You got to roll with it. But yeah, thanks for sharing that about the show. That is so wild to me, man, because Keith and I were talking about dinner theater over the off season. We were talking about just doing pop-up performances throughout the festival, just grabbing people while they're sitting there eating, because, dude, you're captive. You ain't going nowhere. Or what was the other one? The while they're standing in line.
Yeah.
Waiting for food.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite places to hit people.
That's a great one, because, once again, it's a captive audience. They're not going anywhere. So you just have to take our abuse. And
that was one of my favorite things, is being Lord Mayor at the time. Rich, who plays Adam Bell, otherwise known as Robin Hood, we would always have a thing where we could just look at each other and go, just a nod. We knew exactly what was going to happen. I'd walk up to a picnic table, start doing my thing, talking about being Lord Mayor, asking how people are enjoying their day, all that type of stuff. And all of a sudden, Adam Bell's there to collect, right, for Robin Hood and collect the money. And we'd make a big thing of it. And I would inevitably throw some sort of money pouch at him. And everybody that was sitting there would enjoy it. Hopefully, I can't speak for them, I guess, but we'd always get a good reaction out of it. And again, captive audience. They're sitting there eating.
yeah.
And then when we'd walk away, and a little bit later, Adam Bell would hand me my little, purse of coin back, and a little bit later we'd do it again somewhere else.
Do it again, yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. I mean, I mentioned earlier my fairy character that I did, Mayhem, stealing stuff. I'd go sit with people, and I made a habit. I'm not endorsing this by any means, but back in the day, I'd make a habit of stealing. Again, I wouldn't just take a lot of stuff, but I would coax people and just give me food, because it was like, I would, give me a French fry, or I'm going to, cast a spell on you, or something like that, right? It became character
Nice.
as this, mischievous, fairy character.
Right.
And I'd get like a whole lunch out of it just by hanging out in there. And people would be like, oh, yeah, here's some fries, here's this, and they'd share with me.
This was during your college years?
Yeah, that's good 18 years ago, yeah. So it's been a minute since that.
The poor college years where you're like, ramen, hey, I can't wait for festival to get some real food.
Pretty much. And, but yeah, getting people in line, getting people at in that moment, it's like, I have captive audience, and I'm gonna have fun with this.
Oh, absolutely.
There were quite a few special moments that Keith and I kind of facilitated for some people while we were walking around this year. I got a list of special Rascal moments that we'd like to share with everybody. But I'm gonna go ahead and do some stuff here real quick just to kind of get in here.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to get you comments because I see you looking confused over there.
Yeah, I mean,
Plus I'm watching the chat is going absolutely bonkers. Let's jump
probably.
in there real quick. Yeah,
rabid fan base.
Kira, I watched that video footage like 3 weeks after I asked Lucinda to take it for me. And when I heard that, I started laughing my butt off with Lucinda slipping out while she was doing the recording. Let's see here. We got Salzano says, Keith, Rob, and myself doing Gate in the Gate show has been so much fun. Highlight of every day at the festival. Oh, that's nice.
Well, I mean, you get to hang out with us. That's
a
a high point.
Yeah, when you want to hang out with great people, yeah.
Just
I can't even say that with a straight face.
we're very humble. We're very humble people.
Oh, hey, Dan, thanks for that. Yeah, Dan says it's really cool to see the synchronization of the cast. It takes special talent to pick up like that.
Absolutely.
Let's see. And then we're talking about a bunch of privateers and all these fun people. All right, so let's jump down. We're going to talk about some of the highlights. And this was something that you said last year during rehearsals that stuck in my mind, and it kind of burned in my head. And that was one of the 4 things that I had made my box, and that was you during rehearsals. If I remember correctly, the statement was, in years previous there was a noticeable division, and there were cliques that were starting to form, and that is not the kind of cast that we want to be. And you had said, feel free to work with this street cast, work with musicians, don't be afraid to approach the nobles, the royalty or the court. And that stuck with me. That burned into my head, because I realized at the end of last year, yeah, dude, I really did not, like, I hung out with Keith, I hung out with Jason, and then occasionally I would run into somebody, like I'd talk with Flim Flam, Adam Bell. I'd help him with his stuff, so him and the Lord Sheriff would talk with me, but it was very contained. But again, word circumstance, I was only there for half of the time, and nobody knew who I was. And it was like, oh, you're a pirate, but you don't look like a pirate. I'm like, you're right. I don't look like a pirate like you're used to. I'm based off of something that is a little bit more 1500s historical. And so just going into that, it was kind of neat. So Keith and I made it a point that anything that we were doing, hey, let's grab a musician and play with them. Let's get somebody from the court to mess around with. Let's go and snag people. There was one point in time where Keith and I were walking around, and anytime, especially on those hot days, it would, hey, have you had a drink yet? Let's share a drink. And we would drink water with the cast members. I know we did that with Arm and Hammer. Saul's back and forth.
Yeah. I think everybody we pretty much ran into were like, hey, let's have a drink real quick.
And it was just us trying to keep tabs on each other to keep that health up. But it's being part of the cast, and as somebody in the chat said earlier, it 100% is this massive effort to make the village come to life.
Yeah, it takes all of us. I much as I hate it takes the village. In this case, it literally does,
It does.
Take a village. I help with not just cast. Obviously, I'm in charge of entertainment and cast, and that's my main focus. But I also help with, some of the other, different groups or whatever you want to call it of, our front gate staff is kind of an extension of the cast, right? We invite them to come to some of the rehearsals, to kind of get to know all of us, for the mere fact that us characters are walking in and out of those gates all the time. And so just so that they know our faces, to then be like, you're okay to walk in and out here freely and stay in character without saying, I work here,
Right.
type thing. And but those are the first people that the patrons see, and typically the last people that the patrons see. So they help that magic come alive.
Yeah.
We help with the food and beverage and the merchandise orientation, and we talk about it's a quick 20-minute thing about characters, accents, costumes, but we also talk about they're part of the village as well.
Oh, absolutely.
When you're getting your food, when you're getting your drinks, things like that, they're part of the village as well. And to have them interact with us as well when they see the king and queen coming by, and they say, "Long live the king," "God save the queen," and they add to that. Again, it takes everybody.
Yeah.
Not just the people helping us park your cars, to the site crew that picks up everybody's trash and keeps that place clean and looking the way it does. Like, it does literally take everybody.
And the crotchety old guy that drives the bus.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Right? It takes all of us. But when like I said, I mentioned earlier, when I first started back in 2002, it was hard to interact with other people. At the time, we had a small Shakespeare troupe that did Shakespeare plays and improv Shakespeare, and I was like, that's amazing, I want to be part of that. And I tried my hardest to be a part of this group. And little things here, I wasn't like trying to be like, I'm just gonna do all your shows with you, but like asking them, how did you do this, how'd you get here?
Yeah.
And it was just totally addressed with the cold shoulder, right? I just didn't. Oh no, you're. I've been doing this for years. You can go, do your thing. And it was like, okay, thank you, for nothing. So again, when I continued to work there, I really tried to make a point to, if I was on court, to interact with street characters, with the musicians. Like, I really tried to reach out of my little bubble of what, even though that was what the kind of cliques were doing, I really tried to push past that.
Right.
So when I became director, it was like, this is one thing I am stopping immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That we are an ensemble.
Yes.
That festival couldn't happen. Yeah, yes, we need a king and queen, right? We need that nobility and that royalty walking around to make it come to life. But we also need the dirty peasant. We also need the musician making the music. Like, we need everybody, and everybody is as important.
Mm-hmm.
As much as our king and queen look amazing, our queen's the first one to tap her crown and go, "This is plastic." Like, she is playing the part. She doesn't have any real power. She has real power because, well, her and I are the managers, and that's the reason why you have power.
Right.
But as our characters out on the street, we don't. It's just an act. And there was people in the past that would abuse that even backstage.
Right.
And be like, "Oh, I outrank you backstage, so you're gonna still get me water." And it's like, no, I'm an actor. You can get your own water. Like, if you're sick and you're about to pass out, I'm gonna do anything to help you.
Yeah.
But if it's a day-to-day occurrence, I'm gonna sit here and you're gonna get me my stuff. No, I'm not. I'm an actor. You're an actor. And so I really push that to make this equal place for all of us to come and be an actor. Yes, I push the deference, and I push that if someone is supposed to bow to me, that they bow to me, and I push people, especially in character, when they don't do it properly. With certain characters are break those rules a little bit more than others, and I ride them a little bit harder for sure. Someone who's listening right now probably knows who he is. But any character who,
If you feel called out, it's because he's actually talking
right?
to you.
He's talking to you.
and he knows it. But and we tell people to you take that and do it respectfully as
Right.
your character of how you would call them out. But anytime I would do something, I then, even before I was director, I'd go backstage and be like, "Hey, with that bit, was I disrespectful? Did I make you mad? Because I was trying to stay in character." And 99% of the time, they're like, "Oh my God, that was hilarious. Let's do that again." There's been a couple times over the course of all the years that people are like, "Oh, I didn't like that." I go, "Okay, I won't do that
Right.
with you." And again, it's mutual respect. We're all actors doing what we're supposed to be doing. And that's where I've pushed to create this safe space for all of the actors to come, to let them be themselves backstage. And I think that's let them thrive to be better
Yes.
on stage.
Yes. I like being. I told Morrow and I told Rich the same thing. So last year it was really neat because I was with Adam Bell and I was kind of there helping out. This year I was actually behind a lens. And we'll look at a couple pieces here in a few seconds. But last year, every time we were done with they were done with a performance, we would all go backstage and we would do an after-action review on it and be like, okay, how did that look? What was that sound like? And so it was really to me it solidified the idea of this is a living, breathing ensemble where everyone helps to rise one another up, because that's what we do. Because if I can make you look more credible as the Duke of Larkspurshire, and we're bowing and we're doing these things, yeah, sure, that it adds to the ambiance. Now I know the first year I wasn't bowing to the first couple of weekends. I didn't bow to anybody.
Lucinda says it helps that I walk hunched over. It looks like I'm bowing to everyone.
There is that, yes.
Let's see here. Years ago in theater, we had a small double show ran by 20 people. Everyone had multiple roles and jobs to make it all happen. Lead in one show was stagehand in the other. It truly takes a village. No, yeah, absolutely right, Curly. Everything if that is the cool thing about acting as part of an ensemble troupe is that it is very much like the military. You know, in the military, yeah, your specialty is this, but hey, dude, grab your e-tool. We gotta dig this trench, man. We're in this suck together. Let's just go. So it's really neat. But let's look at some of these beautiful things.
Before you do that, I want to mention. I know you guys joke about the grumpy dad, and stuff. And I definitely brought that on to myself because again. I don't care if it's the first year and you're 17 and you're still in high school and you're coming to work for me, or if you're in your 70s and you are there working for me. I don't care. You're my kids. Yeah. I'm everybody's Papa Bear. I'm there for you. And that's the thing is people get nervous around me, and I can't help that I have resting bitch face. I can't help that. It's just my face. And on top of that, especially since I had my son, I know I have disappointed dad look. So you do combine those two, and it's a deadly look, and I get it. But that's the thing, is I am there for everybody.
Oh, absolutely.
I will.
I am your dad. I am your number one fan.
Yes.
I want you to succeed. If you succeed, then the next person succeeds, and the show succeeds.
Truth.
And so I am there for everybody. And that's the thing where, yes, I can have that disappointed dad look a lot. and half the day, especially later in the day when I'm dealing with stuff, there's times that I walk out on, from backstage onto thing, and I have to go, all right, hi, and put on that customer service because of just everything I have to deal with. And I know that if I'm tired, it's even worse.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
so, and there's times that people call me out on it, and I'm like, I can't help it right now. I'm sorry. I'm exhausted.
This is what
I've
you're
been
getting.
doing this, and that's just my face.
Keith and I get the warrior trudge face where it's just we're zoned. Mm-hmm. And I mean, yeah, we do joke about it, but truth be told, it is anytime I've ever had an issue or even just an idea and I've run it by you, it's always met with, all right, let me think about that for a quick second. Let me get back to you. I gotta go take care of something else. But it's never, you've never given me those vibes. And the only reason why we joke about the judgy dad face is because you did start that last year.
Oh, no,
and it's
I know.
hilarious.
I know I have it. And like I said, it's gotten worse with as my kid gets older. But again, like.
Wait till he's a teenager. It gets worse.
Oh, yeah.
Right, we're still in the cute,
Yeah.
Come hug me for no reason.
Oh, yeah,
stage,
yeah.
and I want that to last as long as possible.
This is why I adore all of my children. The 11-year-old, the tiny violinist, is my favorite, but that's because I'm still a hero.
Right?
Yeah.
That is
You only got like
2 years, maybe a year and a half. The way that she's going right now,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, she is just full of attitude.
You're on the cusp.
Yeah. I might have to Spartan kick her a couple of times and straighten her out.
I made my daughter pinky promise when she was very little.
How's that
she
working
would
out?
I hold her to it.
Okay, I'll have
She
to.
gets mad, and I went, no. We pinky promise you can't get mad at Dad.
I like that
And she
approach.
gets even madder because now
I like
she can't
that.
get mad.
I like that.
Yeah.
So let's check out some video clips.
And he owes you back child support. All right.
Cool moment.
That was actually.
I saw that. It's actually to the left of me.
I have to take a little bit. I'm the one who's like, the costume in the costume closet. Let's make that happen.
Sorry about the quality of that video. We're gonna stop because that's bothering the crap out of me. So yeah, that one was cool. That was Children's Weekend, and that one actually came out of the tiny violinist. She says, "Wouldn't it be funny if I dressed up like a jester and just came out of nowhere and yelled Papa as I ran at them?" And I was like, "Dude, that's hilarious." So I pitched it to Eric, and he's like, "You know what? How does she feel about wearing an oversized costume?"
You know what?
And then I had to figure out a way to get down to the costume closet to pick it up and then smuggle it all the way up
Yeah.
to the musician's tent where we got her dressed. And then it was like, you've seen Emperor's New Groove?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I felt like Kronk.
Yeah.
Because I'm smuggling the child in this overgrown costume to the parapet, and all I can hear is.
Did you make your own music?
Oh, I sure did. Oh, that was a great moment. That was one that I thought was neat because a lot of kids recognize like there's two main characters that all of the kids that I've ever talked to are looking for, and it is the court jester, and for some stupid reason, Lucinda Jinx.
Yeah.
Like, she eats children, right? Yeah, but she's my favorite. She eats children, right? But the little one said that she wanted to do that, and she was like, okay, let's go do this. So it was neat to have that happen.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just my feed, but it feels like it's an introduction to Keith's haunted house with a lag.
Yeah,
pretty
that
much.
video
Sorry,
was,
no,
that
it
video
was
was bad.
Yeah, no, it's buffering because
We got a lot of stuff going on.
yeah, there's a lot. Don't worry, guys. Season 2, we're going to change a lot of this crap because I don't like the latency and
We are
that
going to
lag.
streamline.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot better. And we're not going to be in little boxes.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tavern.
Nobody puts baby in a box.
No.
No?
No, not acceptable. And other moments that we had, I do have video footage, but it's not going to play because some of these videos are a little too long. The Hoist the Colors thing, that one started off last year. Keith and I, like Pirate Weekend, I was like, dude, wouldn't it be neat to do Hoist the Colors with a bunch of pirates? And Keith was like, we got to figure out how to make that happen. And so, we came around to this year, and it was like, all right, cool. And we approached Micah and said, hey, dude, we have this idea. I need a time slot. I need a location. And he was like, all right, well, let me think on that. We got some time before Pirates Weekend. Let me get back to you. And so, I wasn't like, hey, I need an answer. I'm like, there's other things that are going on, and it's fine. And then I think it was, what was it? Was it Celtic Weekend or was it Children's Weekend when he came back and told us we could do it? I think it was Celtic. Celtic, he said we could do it.
Yeah.
And I said, cool, what time? And he goes, I don't know. Let me get back to you on that. And I said, all right, cool. So Children's Weekend, it all kind of coalesced. And then we kind of seeded the foreground with that because we made friends with the Crimson Mark. And we did a pirate invasion at the Dublin House here in the Springs where we took over the bar. There was like 50 pirates. Oddly enough, same 50 pirates were the ones that showed up to sing with us.
Yeah, they're like, hey.
Now, were you there for the gate close of Pirate Weekend?
No.
On Sunday. Sunday was the big one.
No, I typically don't see the gate show at the end of the day. There's been probably 3 or 4 of them throughout the whole season I actually see. This year, I saw the opening day because
Okay.
I was part of it. I was the
Yeah.
reason
Yeah.
why Lucinda Jinx
Yeah.
went missing, so I could kind of show the rest of the cast what we wanted to see happen
Right.
through the rest of the season. I saw second to last weekend. I saw part of the closing gate show because I had my son with me.
Okay.
I felt very naked. I was out of costume for like a half an hour of the day, and 22 years of working the festival, that was the first time that I've walked the streets of the village during a festival day not in costume, and I felt very weird about it.
I was gonna say.
Yeah,
That'd
it was
be
it was
odd.
strange. It was strange, but I went outside to kind of look at some stuff, and then of course the closing weekend. I'm always there for that one, but I don't unfortunately get to see a lot of the closing stuff, and that's where again I rely on my ADs with Micah and Elizabeth and Mark to kind of help run that stuff.
Yeah.
All those little things that happen though come across my desk, so to speak. I did talk with Micah a bunch about a lot of the things that happened.
Yeah.
Especially if it was like a scheduled time, like the singing with the pirates were. So as much as I'd love to be at all those places all the time,
Yeah.
I knew that the Chester thing was happening with your daughter.
Yeah.
I happened to be there when it happened. So I was happy to be there. For
Yeah.
it, but-
You came walking up and I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah, but half the time, no, I'm normally dealing with something else.
So the gate close completely did not expect this to happen. Like I was clueless. This jackass is behind me because it's supposed to be the way that it was supposed to be set up. Morrow was supposed to be near the front gate, and then me and Keith, we were supposed to be like a triangle, and we were going to angle ourselves so that we could project out. And we start doing this whole thing, and then next thing you know, Star leads off the song, and then everybody kind of joins in. And then I turn to look because Keith is supposed to be perpendicular to me. He's not there. And I'm like, where the hell did he go? And so I'm looking around as I'm trying to sing and not look like I'm disturbed about this. And I look over and I look at Morrow and I look back again, and then I see between the people weaving, the crowd, I see Keith just grabbing people. Just grabbing people. And so the whole bit at the very end of it is like a very slow stalk towards the Lord Sheriff. Christy's up on the top, and she came back down when it was all said and done and over. She said she had like just tingles and shivers. She was like, that was so powerful and terrifying. It was awesome. I was like, okay, you used the word terrifying. Like terrifying, don't do that ever again. Terrifying is like, next time let me know. She's like, it would have been nice to have a little bit of forewarning. I'm like, I know how you feel. And she goes, what do you mean? I said, I didn't know he was going to do that. And yeah.
Well, I didn't know I was going to do it either. Truth be told, until I turned around and I went, we don't have enough people. And so I just went into the crowd and I just started grabbing people.
He's
I'm
grabbing
like, come here.
as they're trying to
And then
exit.
next
He's
thing I
grabbing
know-
anybody that looks like a pirate.
Yeah, but then there was people that I wasn't even grabbing that were like, oh, we want to be them this. And they just started going. And I'm like, oh, look.
And
That's a lot of people.
Pip turns around and tells me later on, she's like, I just froze in place because I didn't know what to do. I'm like, dude, follow the wave, man. Like, next time, follow the wave.
Ride the wave, brother.
You know, Natanya was like, I'm there. And she was right there with me. And it was great because I got a lot of feedback from a lot of the cast. And they were just like, dude, that was so amazing. And I said, you know, that kind of exceeded what I wanted to do, but in a fabulous way. And I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. Hopefully we can do it again next year. We'll run it back and see if we can make it better.
We'll make it better.
You know,
Bigger.
bigger,
Better.
Next year we want to do it at the Crossroads,
Oh, yeah.
not in the wood chips.
We're gonna-
More pirates.
More
I'm talking to you guys. Couple of other notes that we had. You know, we got to play Liar's Dice with some customers. Went into the old corporate picnic area between the Rose Stage and the Pirates Pub, and that was neat because it gave us a nice little place where people were walking by to go from one show to the other, and they just kind of stopped. And we had our little champions out there, and we were teaching people how to play liar's dice, and a bunch of people were like, do you guys do this all the time? Like, not yet. Maybe next year we'll have dice on us at all times, and it'll be great if we can have customers randomly come up to us and go, hey, I challenge you, and let's play. That would be cool.
Absolutely. It was a good time.
What were some of your favorite moments from this season?
There's always, like I said, I've been doing this for 22 years, and it's like there's a reason I keep coming back. Throughout the years, there's always moments where I'm like, I could be doing other things right now. And after having my son, who's almost 3 now, and it's like, okay, yes, he's come and made an appearance and been the prince here and there and stuff, but it's still, it's a time commitment away from the family. And there's been moments where I'm like, we could be out doing something else, or I could be taking him to the pool. Like, there's all those moments that come across my mind. And then something inevitably happens where some little kid comes up to me and just wants to talk and will tell me, I've been looking for you all day. And I'm like, why me? And it happens at least once a year where someone wanted to find me as the Lord Mayor, or as the Duke. And they'll come up and be like, oh, we've been looking for you all day. And I'm like, why? Because there's characters that are just so much bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Obviously Micah being the jester, Lucinda, like for years we had Captain Jack, and he was one of the favorite ones, out and thing. And everybody has kind of their, and so that moment a little kid comes up to you and is like, oh, I've been looking for you. And it's like, me? Why me? And like, because for some reason that, you connected with them. One of my favorite times this year, I was sitting on the thrones, like I mentioned, my one time of the day to sit down is during the parade. And typically I get to sit up there with the Irish Princess, and we have a lot of fun. The rest of the cast, for the most part,
Oh, I remember this day.
are back and getting ready for the parade and stuff. And so everybody's looking for, characters to interact with. And so it's always my favorite place to go sit and do this. This little kid comes up to me and starts talking to me. And I always tell kids that I remember them, right?
Oh,
Put
of
the
course,
smile on their
yeah.
face. Have you gotten taller, And, if I say, is this your first year here? And they go, oh, no, we've come before. I thought I recognized you, And again, little magic to the kids and talk about how they got taller, things like that. On occasion, I actually remember people. And this particular time, I did. Not at first. He came up to me, and whenever I see kids with like the little fairies on their shoulders or the little dragons and stuff, I always ask them, what'd you name it? And 2 years ago, this kid comes up to us, and we do the whole interaction, and he didn't have a name for his dragon yet. And his dragon happened to be green. And so I always have 2 go-tos. If it's a little boy, I go with Pickles. I don't know why, but go with Pickles.
I like it.
If it's a little girl, the dragon, the whatever, it's Penelope. Those are my 2 go-tos. And so this little kid comes up to me this year, and I was like, have you named your dragon? He goes, yes, I did. And I go, oh, what's his name? And he goes, don't you remember? You helped name him last year. And so out of nowhere, I go, of course I do. It's Pickles. And he goes, yes. And he got so excited that I remembered that we named his dragon Pickles.
Yeah.
And he wanted now, since he had the dragon for a year, because last year when we named him, I said, do you want me to knight him? And he goes, no, because he was really still nervous. And this year he's like, can you knight Pickles? I'm like, of course I can knight Pickles. And so I made him kneel, hold out Pickles, and I knighted him. And now he's Sir Pickles. And
I love it.
that's one of my favorite moments this past year.
That is awesome.
Is him coming up and
That's cool.
going, oh yeah, it's Pickles. I had a 50-50 shot, honestly, if it was Pickles or Penelope, and luckily I picked the right one. But it's those moments. It's we tell everybody we're here for the kids,
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
and that's always been the point.
Absolutely right.
And when I can connect with a kid, those moments of, oh yeah, this is why I'm here. This is why I keep doing this. Why I keep coming back. That's what just kind of rings true to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of what we've always said throughout this past year is that the kids are the best to interact with because they take us at face value.
Oh yeah.
So they look at me or they look at Rob or one of we are who we say we are. Like a couple years ago when I was doing the pirate, was I got stuck at the face painting thing for 45 minutes because everybody had questions for me and all right, so I just sit down. I'm talking to all these kids in line. Their number one question: do you know Jack Sparrow? Oh, of course I know Jack. He's world's worst pirate. And then the next kid would come up. Hey, what about your ship? What about this? And I mean, they were just like they believed who I was, and I'm like, it's so organic, And so that's why I was like, I tried to talk to more kids than adults because I'm like, sometimes the adults suck, but the kids are always cool. It's like I've always had good interactions with kids.
I think my favorite interaction with a child wasn't it was the kid was probably about 12 or 13 years old. Just two kids. Guy comes up to me and somehow, because this was last year, mind you, I had not been there very often, but somehow this guy had been told about my character, and he made it a point that his daughters got to meet me. And so I had this really weird off the cuff conversation with these two. I think you were eating lunch and I was getting ready to go meet with Adam Bell or something. But the older one comes up to me and she goes, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from China." And she goes, "Are you really a kung fu master?" Okay. All right. I'm not proud of this. I did say yes. I am proud of the fact that, yes, I do know a little bit of martial arts. I've studied extensively over my time in my life. So we had a really good conversation, and it went into, she studied Taekwondo. The younger sister was just starting up, and we were going into this, and it was the most awesome thing because here I am in character, but at the same point in time, I'm giving them tips on, because she was like, "I want to go into grappling." Cool. You should do judo. Well, why? Because you're small, like me. Oh. Well, why should I do that? Because jiu-jitsu, do you like people like right on top of you? No. Okay, cool. You should do judo. It'll pair nicely with the art that you already know. And it was just this really cool thing. And we walked away, and the dad comes up to me, and he handed me a $5 bill, and I was like, "I can't take that." And he goes, No, I insist. And I said, "Okay, cool. Great." So then next musician I walked by, here you go. But he was like, you don't understand. You just made my daughter's days because that was, we wanted to find you because you are the only one on cast like this. And I said, "You're right. And that's why I'm here." And he goes, "Oh, well, that's neat." And I said, No, it's my daughter made me come here. That's why I'm here. And he goes, "Oh, I got it. Okay, cool." But it was a really cool interaction. Little kids don't normally come up to me. I think I'm usually carrying my staff, or I've got a big honking sword on, and they're just like, "Ooh." Plus, when we troop down the line, especially last year, me, Keith, and Salzano would go, and we're this spearhead cutting through the crowds. This year it was just me and Keith, and most of the time I would duck into the crowd, and Keith would catch up eventually.
I just follow the hat.
Yep.
I'm like,
there's
easiest way to find him.
There,
yeah.
Yep, I see him. All right.
Well, that's one of the things I always try to do is listen to the parents, and one of the things, I mean, years ago I served a lot of tables. I bartended, surprise, actor serving.
No way.
Tables and whatnot, right? And when I even first started dating my husband, he would yell at me for having server ears, because working in my area and like having to keep an eye on all my tables or the bar that I was tending, whatever's happening, I keep my ears out for, they need a new spoon, they're ready for their check, and then I'd get that stuff to them and they'd be like, "How'd you even know that?" And it's because I listen. I've tried to take that with the acting side as well,
right?
To be able to hear stuff. Again, sitting on the thrones, one of my favorite parts of the day is I'd hear people in line waiting to come talk to us, and I hear a parent be like, "All right, little Jennifer or whatever, and and so when she come up, I'm like, well, hello, Jennifer, and then like the whole, you know my name, and try to pull that trick out every once in a while, let you connect to the kid. And then again, that magic, they take you for the face value that you are whoever you're saying you are.
Yeah.
And whatever character that is, that's all they need. They don't have to go into it. And they start asking questions about different stuff. And I always say, yes, this is my village. People start asking questions about the village. And 99% of the time, I know the answer because I've been working there for so long of where something's at or whatever. And then that 1% which I don't know, I'm an actor. I'm going to make something up. And it sounds believable. But to have that moment, it's, the kids, that's why we're there.
It's funny you were just talking about, magically knowing a kid's name. Lucinda types up, there was a kid that thought I was a fake witch. As they walked away, his sister whispered his name in my ear, and I yelled out, "Bye, Jake." He looked horrified and asked how I knew his name. That is the funniest thing in the world, man. Brian says he brought his 8-year-old niece, and she thought Keith was Bert from Big Bang Theory.
I don't know how to feel about that.
He's famous,
I
so you
kind
should
of
be
like
flattered.
Bert, though.
You should be flattered.
Bert, yeah, it's the beard.
Danny says that he uses his chemistry background and character interactions all the time. Easy pickings for wizard-type language.
Yeah, no.
It makes a lot of sense. Like alchemy and wizardry, or, all that flim-flam.
Sir Pickles, knighted by Theodore Winkleworth. Brought to you by Vlasic Pickles, the choice of a new generation.
Oh, my God. Now's my favorite time of the show because it's Tavern Talk. This is where we throw it out to you guys to ask some questions before we wrap out.
Yeah.
I got nothing, dude.
I don't even know where to go from here.
It's kind of hard because it's like I'm having so much fun just kind of hanging out and talking. And
we didn't get fired yet.
you know the mics are still live, right?
Oh, he can hear
There's
me.
still time for
It's
that.
right there.
Damn it. All right.
And he's got his headphones on still.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see if we get there. How much time do we got?
And I've already been told I can't get rid of you, but that doesn't mean that he can't get rid of you and ergo gets rid of me.
Yeah.
It's a 2-for-1. It's not fair. It's a double play.
I know. So you better be nice to me.
I don't have
got
to
a
be.
point.
I'll get us both fired.
I don't have to be nice to you.
Well, all right.
This is
Whatever, dude.
If I'm nice to you, there's something wrong.
That's true. I'll be like,
I usually want something, or
oh,
yeah.
What's wrong with Rob? He gave me a compliment.
Oh my
How to
God.
do this? Oh yeah, Josh. I don't know if you're still listening, but
Let's see where he's at.
yeah, he said something about a haunted house.
Yeah, he was talking about how the video cutting out.
Yeah,
and then
something
it says
about
haunted houses. Keith, I need you to come play with us at ours this year. Where is your haunt at, Josh? Throw that up.
Let me know.
Let's see here.
Mine's off Santa Fe and Hampton.
And Kira, yeah, the videos that were meant to show, I will post those up on our on our YouTube page, and Keith will snag those and throw those up on Facebook.
Absolutely.
Let's see.
That's what I do.
I keep them around only for Facebook. That's the only reason why I keep them around. What?
I'm good with that.
Well, that and most of the time
Everybody
I can
needs purpose.
Yeah,
I can hide behind him. That's the other
and
thing.
he feeds me, so you know.
I feed everybody.
Yes, squirrel. We are ready for Saturday.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if you know this, but Rob and I are actually getting our own ship with the Crimson Mark. So
We've been invited to join their
inducted
ranks.
there.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's kind of dumb. How quickly that happened. It was kind of neat. We had a lot of people that during Pirate Weekend were kind of like, these guys need to be, and I mean ravenous. They were just like they need to be part of the.
Oh
crew.
yeah, Josh, we already talked about that. Yeah, definitely.
Longmont, the Empty Grave. Okay, cool.
Sorry, dude. I was thinking of something else.
Kind of was Keith to narrate an audiobook. What?
Oh, I'll totally narrate an audiobook.
Well, just make sure that you're very specific on the way that you want him to read that, I'll
improv the shit out of that.
That's why I'm saying that.
Once upon a time. Oh, no. Fuck. She wouldn't fucking say that.
He's going to be reading like Dr. Seuss like style stuff, and he's going to be going off on like haunt. Where next thing you know, you got Wild Bill in there somewhere.
Yeah, it could happen.
I know.
Just saying.
Like, this is the downside of working with you for a year now. I've gotten to know your brain.
There's no downside to working with me. Come on, seriously.
The snoring.
Okay, so there's that. That's pretty interesting.
Right, you give a lumberjack company a run for its money.
Oh, Shark, you're gonna come Saturday?
Nice.
Like it.
Yay to spill the beans. Okay, hold on. What are we got here? All right. Lucinda, speaking of magic, calling for Bree on closing Saturday from Parapet made her morning. She knows exactly who you are, but she's not. Yeah. I still think it's hilarious that last year Lucinda had a kid come up and go, I eat kids too. It's like terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So we got a lot of good things coming up. Let's talk about.
I know what I was going to ask you. I knew there was something I just remembered. So, all the characters that are at the fair. So, if you had a character, what is not there that you wish was there? If you could, like, I know
that's
it's
a
like
tough
like
question.
hang it, like on one, but just like if you're like, man, I really wish we had a blank.
I don't know if I can answer that, honestly. It's how the process has always been is, if you work at the festival, you have to be invited back every year. And, yes, I joke about that of, people start talking about stuff next year. And I was like, I don't know, have you been invited back yet? But I typically don't, start doing that again until at least January.
Right.
But it kind of happens organically. We invite the cast back who's getting invited back. And some people, for whatever reason, may, Lucinda needed to take a break. When she told me that, she needed to, she has too much on her plate right now.
Yeah.
She needs to take a step back. Like, literally what she told me became lines in the front gate show.
Right.
where the Lord Mayor is going, I don't know, she told me something about she had too much on her plate. And, like, those were her words that she told me. But once I kind of know who's coming back, I then look at who we have and what holes need to be filled in that sense. Again, historically, we've had a king, a queen, sometimes a princess, sometimes a prince, sometimes both, a Lord Mayor, and a Lord Sheriff. Other than that, characters come and go. And that's what I love about it, is it gives us the freedom to have stuff. Yes, there's characters we see repeated, but every single time someone new brings something to it, like, we've had a rat catcher many times over the years, and every single year
it different.
Is different.
Yep.
Yeah. Even when we have a Lord Sheriff and a Lord Mayor, they're still those characters, but they bring something else to it. Mm-hmm. We've had the very, very serious, Lord Sheriff. That's how David played it. Then the one who took over after him, Nick, was like, Barney Fife. Like, he had, flags. He was like, he ran around, and it was complete opposite. And then now with our current Lord Sheriff, with Morrow, kind of in the middle of that. There's times he was very serious, and there's times he plays a lot, But it's not until auditions, honestly, where I start thinking about that kind of stuff. And I always tell people, bring a character in mind. Doesn't mean you're going to get it. Because every year we have a trend of some sort of character that everybody wants to be.
Yeah.
A lot of the times it's fairies.
Yeah.
A lot of the times people, come and I want to be a princess. I want to be a princess. I want to be a princess. Every year we kind of have a trend. This year, for whatever reason, the jester clown theme was very prevalent. Majority of people, when I said, if you could be anything, what would you want to be? And it was a jester. And it was just kind of interesting that out of all these years, it was the first year that was at the forefront.
Right.
For whatever reason. But I encourage people to come to auditions with something in mind. And then I will try to take that. If it doesn't fit properly in its peg, how do we morph that into something that we do need?
Right.
Again, we're trying to portray a certain time period. And typically, if you lived and worked in a village, you lived there because you had purpose. You were the milkmaid. You were the fishmonger. You were something. The shepherdess. Whatever that character may be, the blacksmith. You had purpose to live there. If not, you were visiting for some reason.
Right.
That could be because you were looking for work. That could be because you're part of the court and their majesties came to this village on holiday. So you were in procession with them and you go with them and you are learning about the village. That's the base where we start those characters. But I'm open to a lot of things. But I don't know if I would have like the one character that I try to make happen.
Right.
A lot of the times it turns out to a conversation during the audition process. And sometimes you kind of made, that your audition, you felt horrible because I made you tell a story.
Yeah.
But it's one of my favorite things to do. And it's not to put someone on the spot and make them feel awkward. That's not the case. One, everybody comes to audition saying, I'm going to do it this way.
Yeah.
And then I strip that away from them and tell you to do your monologue again, but do it differently. Do it as a lazy cat. Do it as a squirrel. Or I say, okay, just tell me a story. I want to know how you come across as a person. Because there's times where people will come and audition and have this lengthy sheet of things they've done in the past. Just like any business, we have a budget. I can only fit so many people onto my spreadsheet to fill those spots. And every year I turn away very talented people. But it may be because of what they told me in their story.
Right.
That I pick that person. Even if they don't have a lot of theater experience. I may pick them because of the story they told. Murph, who is on our cast. She plays Lady L. Literate. She showed up because she wanted to try stepping out of her comfort zone. And she had visited festivals before, but never really and I hired her. She was one of the first people I was like, I'm hiring her. And she's now been there for 6 years and is great. And one of our, senior people who help newbies and all that kind of stuff. And she was shocked that I picked her. And it might have been because of the story I asked her to tell.
Right.
Or how I said, if you could do anything, what would you want to be? And that could morph into something where I could take that energy. You might not be what you want to be, but I could take that and turn it into something. Because I think I have a good eye for the talent coming through the door and who can be what at the festival. So, really long-winded answer to your question, but I don't have an answer for it. It's
situational.
It's the potential that I see there, where we then give someone an idea, and then you could be the shepherdess, and then someone says, but your flock's invisible, no one can see them but you. Or the fairies took it, and people start dropping other things, and again, as a cast, as an ensemble, that character is then built up and created.
Right.
And again, it will change over those first 3 years. I was the Lord Mayor for 7 years. The Lord Mayor that started was very different from the Lord Mayor that finished. And that's okay, because it continues to evolve.
Right.
So if you are interested in auditioning, and come out with a character. Some people are very dead set. I want this or nothing. If it doesn't fit into our time period, our story, whatever, then you may not get picked for it. But if you're willing to take that idea and let's play with it, there's a good chance that you could come and experience the fun with us.
Well, that's what Rob and I talked about in our audition episode we did. We said go into the audition with an idea of what you want to do, but be willing to change, because it may not be because you base your stuff off need. I need this character, I need this character, and then you go with those first, and then once that gets filled, maybe you play with different ideas and stuff like that. But if you're like, no, I got to be this, and it doesn't fit the needs of the village,
try again next year.
Get it. Yeah,
you know, just and a no this year doesn't mean a no perpetually.
Sure,
it could, the needs could change. That was during that episode we were talking, and we were recalling like our impressions of our individual auditions. And the one thing that I remember the most, first off, I got to play off of Kendra, which I adore her. She's awesome. She's part of the reason why I was invited to audition, which I absolutely loved it. But afterwards, it was like, are you dead set? You looked at me and goes, are you dead set on being a pirate? And I said, honestly, I just want to be part of it. That's it. I just want to fit in somewhere. And thankfully, you guys gave me the latitude to stick out and create Yen Shang, which even, we talk about the end then. Last year, I didn't have an accent because I refuse to alienate anybody and do the comical, Jerry Lewis or the Ching Chong accent.
Sure.
I refuse. And so Keith and I were talking about it during the off season, and I was like, all right. And he goes, maybe you should like slow down the meter of your speech and go with like a Chow Yun Fat or try to. And I said, dude, you know me. I can't slow down.
We talk way too fast.
We talk way too fast. And so then it morphed into, this was really comical for me because I had a customer that was just completely, why? You're dressed like a Chinese dude. Why the hell do you sound like you're from like South London? And I said, well, I gave him a completely logical, reason. And it was great because he fired back at me, well, do you actually speak Chinese? I'm like, why? What would it matter if you don't speak it? And he just kind of, oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense. And then we parted ways. But now I speak with a Cockney accent, and it throws people off enough that it's funny. Unfortunately, it has a really bad effect on him.
Yeah.
Because he'll slip into it.
I'm kind of an accent chameleon. So he starts talking, and I go into mine, and I just end up going with him. And I'm like, there it
Which
goes.
is great when it's with me, Nick, and him.
Yeah. Because then we start arguing with each other.
No,
no one can understand what we're saying.
No, I get that. I mentioned earlier, like, I played a Russian prince for so many years, and I was Dmitry Bolakovsky, Prince of Russia. And I had to spend so long to work on that accent.
Yeah.
I was then asked to come and be the next Lord Mayor. And they wanted me to be British again. And during rehearsals, I went back to being Theodore, and I practiced and was into the British accent again after spending so many years being this Russian character. Where we do the front gate show on opening day. We do the front gate show. Everything went great. The sheriff and I are then backstage, or behind the gates, waiting for the gates to open. As soon as the cannon goes off and the gates open, people start walking in. And I don't know if it was like Pavlov's dog, right? The bell went off, and after so many years of being this Russian character, that cannon went off, and people walked in, and I go, "Hello, pretty ladies," and David, the Lord Sheriff at the time, just goes, that like, what are you doing? And just looks at me, and I'm like, I don't know what happened there. Like, it clicks, right? And so yes, I understand that, but kind of to your point, Rob, of the character representation. That's something else I also look at in the audition process. Is the more and more representation and diversity we can get at the festival, because of the inspiration of like, I want to see people who look like me, and I'm all for that. I am a white guy, right? Like, but I want to be able to show that. And so, again, I encourage anybody who ever had a thought of coming to audition, like, if you've thought about it, just come, try. If it doesn't fit this year, it may fit next year.
Yeah.
And it all depends. I told you that year, do you have any other ideas besides pirate? Because again, that year everybody was, I want to be a pirate. I want to be a pirate. I want to be a pirate. And every year we have some sort of character that everybody wants to be that for whatever reason. And we can only have so many pirates.
Right.
Honestly, this year I was like, we don't have any pirates this year. Like, so when we went to go do pirate stuff, I even asked you, I was like, Keith, could you just be a pirate for Pirate Weekend? Like, I dressed as a pirate for Pirate Weekend because sometimes it's this year for whatever reason. Like, I was like, I have like 2 pirates on cast right now. I need more for Pirate Weekend.
Yeah.
Other times I'm like, no, we've had too many pirates. So it all depends on the year and the need, but I like having the diversity.
It's funny that you say that because you can also see that in the patrons. Like, you could see the trends in the patrons. Like, I remember last year, there was an ass ton of just pirates everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. And I'm not just talking about the Crimson Mark guys. I'm talking, like, everywhere. And it was like, every time you turned around, there was a Luffy. There was a Jack Sparrow. There was a Captain Harlock. There was so many different, and it was great. But this year, it was like mercenaries, witchers. That was like the big trend that I saw this year.
I saw a lot of witchers.
I saw a lot of ogres.
Yes.
Like people dressed as green for whatever
Yes.
reason. I don't know why, but stuck out this year. I was like, there's another, and they all did great, but it was just like, there's a lot of people painted green this year. And I don't know why.
And
Like,
the
I honestly
orcs.
don't know why. Yeah.
And the orcs, the
Yeah,
two that won the costume contest on the Saturday,
Right.
for opening weekend, those guys were amazing. But that's Lord of the Rings. Like you look at their costumes, they're based off of Lord of the Rings, and it was just, oh my God! Like, you guys put some time in that. I wouldn't want to wear that. You're out of your mind.
Oh yeah, a bunch of mushroom people.
Yeah,
the mushroom people.
Keith hates the mushroom people.
I
Well,
don't
that-
hate the mushroom people. I
That
just don't get
started
it.
in 2021, and it was because of TikTok during the pandemic. It became this crafty thing to turn straw hats into mushrooms. And it started on TikTok and became real big and started in 2021, and then 2022 was just like everybody had it. And it's great. Like, they all look good. There's some really creative people out there and creating stuff. But of course, I was like, did this come from like an anime? Like, I was
Yeah,
like, what
I
is
didn't
this
get
coming
it.
from? People are like, oh no, it's TikTok. I was like, oh, okay. I'm not on that side of TikTok. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
But there's always trends. There's always trends and things that just get huge. And sometimes that might be because some movie came out or something. But we have to fill certain characters and certain parts to, again, fill a village. To make this, we need the different parts to make it come alive.
Right.
In that sense.
See, now you're getting me in trouble
Why?
because people are yelling at me.
They're
Squirrel yelled at me. Shame.
going to yell at you anyway.
Well, I know.
I
but
mean-
I don't. It's not that I hate the mushroom people. I just didn't. I don't understand where it all like.
Personally, I like I said, anytime I see somebody with a red mushroom hat on, I make it a point. So in Scottish Irish folklore, there is something that is called a bogle, also known as a red cap. These guys are murderous little bastards, and their hats are red because they dip it in the blood of their victims. So anytime I saw somebody wearing a red mushroom cap, I'd look at Keith and go, make a wide berth. We don't want to be next to that. And so it was great because one little girl, she's probably 19, low 20s, overheard me because I was not being quiet. And she turns and goes, what's that supposed to mean? I said, well, you're a bogle. And she goes, no. I said, well, you have the red cap, and we know about your kind. And then we walked away really quickly. And it was great because she followed us for, about 10 paces?
Yeah.
And she was like, explain that. And so then I stopped, and I was like, gave her the explanation. She's like, oh, that is so cool. I want to do that now. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, my son has been very hyper fixated on the Mario Brothers movie that DreamWorks did.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
The
Okay.
newest one.
There.
And of course, Toad and all of the, have the mushroom hats. And so, and he's 2.5 and he's portraying Art Prince. And he does a pretty good job for not like really knowing what's going on.
Yeah, yeah.
He gets into it and he waves to people and stuff. And I was carrying him at one point and I happened to walk by someone and he looked at this girl in a mushroom hat and he goes, "Where's Mario?" And I was like, And I was like, what did you say, Your Highness? Because I was trying to, like, stay in
Yeah.
character with it. And he goes, Mario, where? And I was like, oh, that's not Toad. And then he got mad because Mario and Luigi weren't anywhere to be found.
Yeah. Which I can see would be upsetting.
That's hilarious.
And I was like, I apologized to the girl. She thought it was cute. And I was like, oh, come on, Your Highness. We need to go find your parents. And he was just like, no, Mario, where? And then for like 20 minutes, he was looking for Mario because he came across, 3 different girls wearing different Toad, looking hats from the mushroom hats.
For those of you wonderful patrons out there that want to make the day of a little boy, come dressed as Mario.
There you go.
There you
Please,
go.
because
You
that's
make the prince happy.
That's hilarious.
Find the prince.
Yeah, no, stop it, Dave. Stop it, Master Dave. Mushroom people equal fun, guys. Stop it.
it's-
Don't get Keith started up on this. All right, I've already told you guys about this.
It's a dark path we've walked down.
It really is. Lucinda asked, where did it go? It was up
yeah,
here.
you got. I saw what you're.
Is there a funny patron story that left you speechless that you weren't expecting them to do or say something? Stay positive on this.
Or appropriate for the audience.
Oh no, our audience is not appropriate.
Yeah, this is not. This podcast is not meant for kids.
I guess if it's this year or in general, there's, I don't know. I mean, I don't get surprised by anything anymore. After 22 years,
Yeah.
I've heard it and seen it all. And if it is something new, it doesn't surprise me. Obviously, this year, we were across the news for many different reasons this season. The tortoise taking its
Stroll.
yeah, just on his walkabout from the property across the street, and just randomly showing up, blocking our traffic and stuff. And then
The bear.
And the bear. You two were 2 of the people that I got news of the bear happening, and I stopped doing what I was doing. I called you 2 over, and I said, "Go redirect our parade." And you guys took it, just like, okay, got it. And you went and helped me, and I sat and I turned around and I immediately went back to the kids and I was like, oh, hello. And a couple of our new cast members were sitting up there with us, and afterwards they were like, how did you just you just took it with such ease? Like, I'm like, after 22 years, nothing surprises me anymore. And to be like, okay, there's a bear on property and we have to deal with it, then okay, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Although I do have to say, I like that route better for the parade than going down that big ass hill.
A lot of people said we should redirect it that way.
I was like, oh, this is so much better.
Because that bottom turn sucks.
Oh, it's horrible.
Because people do not want to move. I mean, that was something that was odd because this year literally there were 5 of us clearing, plus the 3 directly in front of the parade. There were 5 of us clearing that pathway, and it was we did it well, but
there were some good weekends. There
Yeah.
was a couple weekends that didn't.
Yeah, that was my speechless moment was last year. Oh, look, they have a Confucius. You bastard.
Yes.
You bastard. He rolled right by me. Guy looked me dead in the eyes, looked me up
We're
and
standing
down.
right by the front gate, and this guy walks in, looks over at Rob, and goes, "Look, they have a Confucius," and just kept going.
I
didn't break stride, and I was
had
like,
nothing.
I looked at Rob, and go, "That was a bit racist."
I had
think. I don't know.
nothing. I had nothing prepared for that, and I was just like, and I looked at him, and I was just like,
Dick. That was a good one.
I'm sure Lucinda's asking because I probably told her a story of something that left me like that way. And honestly, I can't remember right now of what I might have told her. Because there's times where I'm just like, do people ask that, or did that really happen? But honestly, can't think of something off the top of my head that right now I can think of. But I mean, over the years, there's always been stuff. Through the 22 years, we've really pushed more for family show versus. Again, when I started there, some of the catcalling that would happen, or the hawking by the people who worked there, it was not family friendly.
Yeah.
And being those body puppets, especially my first 2 years, drunk people would get very inappropriate with those things, and it was just like, you know. And then half the time I'm thinking, like, I mean, I was 17 when I started the festival, and I'm like, this drunk woman is like all up, you know, doing inappropriate things. I'm like, do they realize there's a 17-year-old in this costume right now?
Right.
You know. But again, over the years, it's nothing surprises me anymore. I've dealt with stabbings, with fights, and drunk people. I don't know. I've dealt with it all, so nothing surprises me over the years.
Salzano says that he ran into a lot of plate mail nights this season.
There were a lot of nights this season too. Yeah,
there's a lot of armor that was out there, and
Yeah.
Keith and I were out there towards the motorcycle parking, and we were just messing with people as they were coming in. It was awesome.
Like, yeah, we'll see you about 11:30.
Yep.
Oh no, it's fine. And I'm like, yeah, just keep smiling through the pain.
Yeah.
You look cool though.
Or that guy that was wearing all black. He was dressed as a pirate, but he was wearing black leather.
Yeah.
And Keith called out to him. He's like, "You're gonna regret that in the next 30 minutes." The guy's like, "I already regret
am.
it. I'm just committed."
he's walking in. I mean, he is just sweating. I'm like, yeah, we're all black on a 90-degree day. Good life choice.
Oh, okay. Lucinda says no particular story. She was just curious if there was one. Good thing though is that you can always count on those mushroom people wanting to be an interactive person. Kelpie, the one I would actually say that we have quite the opposite, but maybe it's just because we're two older dudes walking around and they don't like us.
Yeah. I just don't get them, so I don't know. It's
The guy that
I don't know how to talk to him. I'm like, I don't get what you're doing here. Like,
well, it's kind of, you know, it's kind of the whole thing of, like, you know, cast members have the opportunity to, do I see Faye or do I not see Faye?
well, it's like the show we did, you know, Fantasy Fair versus Ren Fair. You know, where do you really draw the line? You know, and that's where I like to have my Ren Fair more Ren Fair. You know, if I want to go fantasy, I'll go to a fantasy fair. You know, so, but not that I begrudge anyone from coming in. I love all the costumes, but I'm like, sometimes we're taking a little bit the extra step, you know, where I'm like, it doesn't really fit for me, so I don't know how to talk to you because I'm not sure where you're going with this whole thing.
Sure, I get that.
Well, and it does, if you're not very well versed in like some of the, like some people that like the Lord of the Ring guys and anybody that dresses up like an elf.
Yeah.
You know, I actually got talked to quite extensively by a couple of cast members. We were discussing, like, apparently there's a video game that's out there that you don't call elves pointy ear or something. It's like derogatory in this game. And I'm like, okay, you're cosplaying a character from this game, and if somebody is saying this, they're probably in on that lore as well, and they're just trying to interact with you. Maybe that was not what they intended to be as a negative thing, but you know, you got to be careful. You got to pick your fights, and you got to kind of know to choose your words very wisely.
It's the same thing on the historical side of things too. Yes, we have Henry and Anne as our king and queen. Is it that Henry and Anne? You know, we can play with it, all that kind of stuff. But I always tell people that yes, we are. Our festival is not a full fantasy fair. We are more history adjacent, and that's how I kind of explain. Like, yes, we are portraying pretty much like 1555, if you want to pick a date, in essence, of what our time period are. Technically, pirates didn't come along until like the 1700s.
Yeah.
So, you know.
We make that joke a lot.
We've had
people are like,
no.
look who showed up 200 years
I
too
mess
early.
with the pirates, the Golden Age pirates, all the time, because most Golden Age pirates, that most people don't realize that the history of the pirates is literally about 80 years.
Yeah.
80 years in North American time frame. However, you know, I always introduce Captain Yensheng. Always introduces himself. It's the full sentence. I am Captain Yensheng of the Woku. The Woku lasted for 500 years in China. That's hilarious to me because most of my pirate friends are like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, well, It's 1500. You're way too early. Did you check the time?
Well, exactly. And then when people come and try to, play with us and stuff and ask, especially on the historical side of things, yes, we have certain characters that are rooted in history.
Sure.
And those actors that do a fantastic job with it. And then we have characters like me. There is no such person in history called Theodore Wingwick III. And especially how that character name came about, even, when I created it. But we have to walk that line of fantasy and history, because if we went, there's festivals out there that do complete historical stuff,
Right.
And more power to them. I visited some of those festivals and they're great, but even down to their undergarments have to be hand sewn, historical accurate costumes to everything that they wear, and that's great. More power to them. But in Colorado, in our altitude and the heat we get, no, wear your Under Armour. I want you to survive and not this hand-sewn
Please don't
bloomers,
die.
type situation. But we walk that line with the historical side as well, of just people come up and start lecturing us that, yes, we have a certain time period we portray, but in that time period, no one wore hoop skirts. It just didn't happen. That didn't come until later.
Right.
But
Victorian age.
It looks great, and we run with it and stuff like that. And so, it's there to have fun.
Right. Yep.
And so the fantasy side as well. It's I encourage it, and sometimes people come up to me and I'm like, I have no idea, and it sounds to me obscure anime or video game or some other thing, and a lot of people, it's their own character that they created in Dungeons and Dragons, D&D, and that's awesome. You made that character come to life. That's awesome.
There's a lot of times when we're out, in the parking lot in the morning and people are walking in, I'm like, oh, hello, we're talking to people, and I look around and I'm like, what is that supposed to be? I don't even get that. He's like, oh, I'm like, all right, cool. It's not just me then.
Sometimes we'll just outright ask them, because
what are
most
you?
people that do cosplay and they build their own costumes, they want to talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
So
the
much work and-
best
yeah.
way to interact with a customer is you look amazing. What are you? I'm not trying to be rude, but what are you? And if you do it in character, it's even better, because then they're like, oh, well, I'm this. And I love it when they're haughty with you, because it's like, and then you just kind of give them that attitude back and you're playing off each other. It's awesome. So it's the derogatory term is knife ears. Thank you, Kelpie. That's who told me about it. It's funny because the whole the whole historical adjacency, it is the best way. Thank you, Eric, Mr. Headsman. That is the best way to describe what we do. But I think it gives us a little bit more latitude as actors to be able to kind of craft what we want. I did not know near as much about Chinese history coming into the role that I do now. One of the best interactions I ever had was last year when the lady from Beijing looks at me and goes, what era is which dynasty is your costuming from? And she was impressed that I actually knew what I was talking about, because the costume is based off of this. It comes from this dynasty, but I lean more towards the Chinese high fantasy, what's called wuxia. And she was just like, whoa, you really, you've done your homework. And I was like, if I'm going to dress this way, I want to be able to be somewhat credible.
Yeah.
And her husband was just like, do you speak Chinese? And I'm like, no, not yet. And then we got in this whole conversation how English is actually my second language. My first language was Taiwanese. I do not speak it anymore. I spoke it up until I was about 2 years old, and then we moved out of Taiwan, and that was it. But I am trying to learn Chinese because I want to. I even pointed out to Keith, there was a lot of Chinese-speaking people this year. And I felt like shit because I couldn't say anything other than, Ni hao, konbanwa.
Well, that was me playing the Russian. I know a handful of Russian sayings. I know more Polish, being Polish, but people would come up to me and I would say "Między wód," which is Zdravstvuyte, Między wód, Dmitry Polikovsky. it's believable, right?
Sure.
And
Sounds good.
and I could say hello, my name is, and and quick little things. And I had a couple people that would just start rattling things off, and I was just like, and so I'd make up something about we're in the King's Land, and like if he catches me not speaking his language, like I could get in trouble. And
That's a good out,
right?
That's a good out.
And people would like laugh and I walk away going, I have no idea what they just said, and so. When people come to me and say, I want to play this character, and that's one of my first things. Do you speak the native language?
Yeah.
Especially when people say that they want to do a Spanish character, because obviously with our demographic here in Colorado, there's a lot of Spanish-speaking people.
Yeah.
And I know enough Spanish where I can say, hello, how are you? What's your name? I'm Eric, whatever my character is. I can ask them how old they are, like, what's your favorite? Like, there's certain things I can do. And it's one of my favorite things, I guess, from earlier is I was interacting with a little girl who only spoke Spanish, and I got a little bit out of her, and then I said, un momento, and she waited, and I looked over to our ambassador, and Manny comes over, and he helped translate the rest of the conversation, and we ended up having like another 5-minute conversation because I had a translator, and to me it was amazing because this little girl got more out of it as well, and it's also true to the time period where if you're a dignitary or something and you have your ambassadors to exactly do what his character was there to do. And so when people come to me with other character ideas, I'm like, okay, you want to play this Russian, you want to play this German, whatever it is. And I like having all the diversity. Can you speak the language? Because it comes to a point, because it's interactive and immersive, those moments of being able to do it.
Yeah.
And not just be this fake stereotypical type person.
Right.
It gives us an edge to dancing between that fantasy and historical side of things. It helps along those lines as well.
It also enriches the customer experience like tenfold. I think that is the coolest thing in the world. When we can actually see that people are appreciating what we're doing, but by being able to speak the language of where that character comes from. I mean, I took Keith down to Arizona. We went to AZRF, but while we were there, we stayed at my mom's house. And my mom, first off, she looks at me and she goes, I would have never seen you doing this. Like, I would have never thought this would have been where you would end up at. And I'm like, you know what? That's funny. Me neither. And she goes, but let me ask you, why a Chinese character? Why not a Filipino character? And I said, well, Mom, because in the 1500s we were being occupied by the Spanish conquistadors. So a traveling Filipino guy, not very likely, unless like he's on the run. Which, okay, then cool. What's the big thing, But doing research into the Wokou and everything, there's a little. It's not little anymore, but the island of Tortuga that is portrayed in the Pirates of the Caribbean, Mindanao is the Filipino island city that was Tortuga in the east, which is the coolest thing in the world to me because like I'm learning more about that whole region because of the character, and it's awesome. But my mom was just like, okay, cool, and then she goes, show me pictures. And so I show her pictures of my costumes, and she's like, I don't like this one. This one's better. I like this one better. And she's like, you should wear that more. And Keith just looks at me, and he's like, well, you heard her. And I'm like,
yeah, I'm not arguing with her.
She's 4'11". She's angry.
Yeah, like no. Judgy mom face. No.
Yeah, no. And she's lethal with that slipper, dude. It goes around the corner. I'm not even joking, man. She wings that thing, and it comes around the hallway. Man, it's been 2 hours.
It's been 2 hours?
It's been 2 hours.
Wow.
We're
It
2
doesn't
hours.
seem like 2 hours.
Of course not, because we're having fun. I think we're going to have to wrap it up here, guys. We do appreciate you guys joining us for this wrap out of our end of season, which is really funny because we've got another end of season coming up on Saturday.
Yes.
So
a lot of seasons.
That's
ending.
part 3.
Yeah.
This is part 2.
It just never ends.
No, and that's kind of what you and I set out to do, was to keep the Renaissance Festival in our lives all year round, and that's why we started the podcast. That's why we do this whole thing. And we do thank our wonderful casting director and friend for joining us.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, see, I'm trying to get off before he can fire us. Okay, no.
Again, you have to be invited back first.
I-
So let's see if that happens.
I'm optimistic.
May
I told
the odds
you.
be ever in your favor.
He's going to invite us back just to fire us. Hey, welcome back. You're fired. Damn it.
Can we live stream that?
Playing with my emotions.
Let's live stream that.
I'm not going to do it just to give you guys clout or views. Sorry.
Damn it.
We'll figure it out.
So no. This is how we work that around. We just make sure that there's a camera always over our shoulder.
Yeah,
We can't
I'm just
fire
gonna
us.
walk around.
But we do enjoy. I really enjoyed hanging out and getting your perspective on
Yeah,
things.
no, very cool.
You don't really. Most people in theater troops don't get that opportunity to sit down with their directors and really tear apart like where all of it came from and what it all means. So we do appreciate you taking time and coming all the way down here to the studio to hang out with us.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's been fun. I always tell people that my door's already always open. I'm an open book. You may not get the answer you absolutely want, but I'm gonna take time for my cast. Like I said, I'm there to make sure everybody succeeds.
Yeah.
If you succeed, my cast succeeds, then the show succeeds, and that's. I'm not here to be like, oh yes, I'm the best director ever, and look what I did. No, it's look what you guys did. Look what you guys accomplished, and that's what makes it work the best.
Well, any parting words there, bud?
No, I'm
No?
good.
You're done.
Yeah.
You're checked out. He's ready to go take a nap.
It's nap time.
Well, friends, it has been wonderful hanging out with you guys. I'm Rob.
I'm Keith.
And we are the Renaissance Rascals, joined
are.
by our lovely friend Eric Mindikowski, the casting director, Duke Winglewick, Theodore Winglewick III, the Duke of Larkspurshire, and also Judgy
Judgy
Dadface. Once again, we appreciate you guys coming out and hanging out with us. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
If there's a next time.
There's always going to be a next time for us. It just may not be
maybe.
part of
Yeah, that's
CRF,
true. Yeah.
you know? I mean,
We'll see.
there's always other festivals. Minnesota might be wanting us. I just don't deal with a cold like that.
No, we're not doing
And I'm
that.
not going to Arizona. It's too hot down there.
Yeah. You know we're going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going back. I mean, they can either hire us or we're just going to come
You can
show
always
up.
buy a ticket. to
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what we did last time.
Stop you. Well, we could, but we'll cross the bridge when we get to it.
Yeah.
As long as we're not doing anything illegal or pissing anybody off, we'll be all right.
No.
Oh, wait, we do that now.
No, we don't do anything illegal. Making people mad is kind of our job.
Well, it's a benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Renaissance Rascals. We eat Scotch eggs and we know things.
There's some drinking in there somewhere.
There's always
Just
drinking.
not during the festival day.
Yeah, no, that would
I
be...
have one drink.
That would be wrong. We wouldn't do that.
I have one drink after 5 o'clock. And that is the only drink that I have.
No, that's very true because he's always going, what time is it? What time is it? What
It's a
time is it? I'm
Don't
like,
worry,
"It's
I
5
do the
o'clock."
same thing.
I go, it's 5 o'clock. He goes, drinky poo.
Right?
And off he
Before
goes.
the last joust, I got to go get my,
No,
go get my drink.
but that is and I've had customers that come up, hey, can I buy you a drink? I'm good, friend.
Yeah.
My gourd is full.
5 o'clock.
You know, for my friends like the ones that come up to see me, it's like, yeah, dude,
Yeah.
if you want to have a drink with me, I'll have a drink with you at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And that's the only time I can drink with you. And they're like, really? Why? I'm like, because I'm on the clock, man.
Right.
Like,
We are doing a job.
yeah, this is kind of what I do for a job.
Yeah.
Good night, Kelpie.
Moose one bits my sister. Freaking Curly, dude.
Curly
Really
is just a kind of special, man.
Oh, he's a special kind of